Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Thursday. It's August 22nd, 2024. Hope you are doing well. Closing off this week strong. Don't forget about the summer soul sale. 11 questions, personalized prayers composed for your specific and special manifestation intentions. Get it now while supplies last, because I'll only be offering this sale until the fall equinox. Alrighty. Oh, information in the description box below, of course. Alright, so let's see what we got today. Page of Pentacles. This could be an offer and a message for an investment. Yeah, investment. 7 of Pentacles. Could be something that seems small in nature or seems small, or what's another word? Not conservative, but modest, maybe. It may seem modest in essence. It may even come from an unexpected source, but that could have long-term potential. Let's see here. Oh, here we got this Knight of Cups. Or could have the potential to make a lasting impact. Like, say, perhaps like someone that you least expected that wanted to invest in your business or invest in your brand. And it's maybe somebody that's not even like familiar to your field or to your product or craft or whatever, but they see promise in you. And lo and behold, that seed ultimately ends up growing a long way. You know, maybe even for the both of you. It could spark a collaboration or a partnership that would be otherwise unlikely, is something I'm sensing. Just kind of take this as a, you know, this might not be the whole of the message, but let's just see. That could be just one thing that could be valuable for someone at this time. To despise not small beginnings, pretty much. It could even be a small token of investment that you make into your own business or into yourself that seems like, you know, again, a modest sum, or, you know, gesture. Even if it's not necessarily money, it could be time, it could be energy, something small that you change or start. Even with the Page of Pentacles, could actually go a long way to your surprise. So maybe you've already kind of had a nudge about something you wanted. Oh, you know what? That's funny, because in prayer, I was literally just thinking about something. Yeah, despise not small beginnings, because just from my own personal thoughts, I was thinking about something that I kind of like have been, in terms of content, that I've kind of been depriving myself of, you know, that once upon a time had a great deal of value to me, just energetically, just something that I like to do, a way that I like to share, you know, an aspect of myself, a creative aspect of myself. And I haven't really been doing much of it in a while. And I've had multiple considerations as to why it might not be the right time, which pentacles are also connected to. And I was literally just, you know, prayerfully speaking to myself about that, and like readjusting my perspective as to how maybe it is. You know, maybe I do get to start in a very small way to reinvest that time in something that ultimately gives me a great deal of pleasure, that does kind of have this effect here, you know, where a small seed could grow in dividends just energetically for me, but actually might be something that could have a greater impact on my output and my engagement in return, just on the strength of me having the courage to initiate that idea, you know, or initiate that nudge, you know what I mean? Or to, I guess, to be initiated on account of that nudge. So we got the Knight of Cups here. Just follow your instincts at this time. Really and truly, like, follow your instincts. For the most of who I believe I'm speaking to, you have earned the right to do that. We got the Judgment card here, and then we got the Devil. Perhaps you've learned how to exercise strong judgment in light of great temptation. You know, look at this with the Knight of Cups, can even be like a mild form of temptation or a seduction or allure to even, you know, distract you from your more long-term focus here at the Seven of Pentacles. But with the Judgment card, I'm sensing that that's something that for the most part you've been able to curve. You know, he's focused in on how he can add more value to his harvest, whether he needs to sow some more seeds or a new way of harvesting, plant new fruit, you know, like give it more time, be more patient, plant somewhere else, you know what I mean? Like that, this is like focused consideration on things that matter to you, and also not being afraid to take a new you know, to start on a new journey or on a new path, or try, you know, activate some new strategy of sorts if it calls for it, you know, or as need be. And I feel like the Judgment here is, as I've said, like, yeah, with the World card and then the agreements here, let's see. This could even be those partnerships that I'm talking about. Like, you've had your fair share of trial and error. So perhaps the thing that would kind of, like I was saying about myself, like the thing that you've been kind of like allowing yourself to be I could say consideration, another term I learned in momentum education. Not necessarily an excuse, but things that you allow to be a reason. You know, not in the sense that you're necessarily trying to avoid doing whatever you're feeling called or incited to do, but the things that you contemplate and think about as to what could be in the way, or what could be an obstacle, a challenge, an interruption, an interference, or just, you know, literally something to consider, as opposed to, you know, just kind of doing it, whatever it is. But what I was saying is like the considerations that I've made regarding the timing of any new expression or new investments that I would like to make have come with the advantage of now having added value and wisdom and how to execute that plan, that rollout, that, you know, how to initiate or more so execute that idea. So with the Judgment card here, I'm feeling like, yeah, this could even be like answering to a higher calling that is like a call to action in this season. And it's something new, you know, leaving the past season as it was and carrying from it the most valuable assets to reinvest into this new season, this regeneration, this perhaps even a new awakening, maybe what you may consider to be a regeneration of an old idea could end up being something altogether new once you initiate the action behind it. You know, like, oh, wow, that could be the consideration, like, well, I did that before, that didn't really yield much results, or, you know, that didn't really, you know, I couldn't keep up, or whatever, you know, again, the considerations may be. It could have all been a matter of time in which the Judgment speaks a great deal to. The World card, for sure, it's about the celebration of completing a cycle in a very successful way that, as I said before, more or less gives you, it gives you like almost approval, especially with the Judgment card, to regenerate. You know, like you've brought closure to something of the past in such a way, in a productive way, that actually would give you the leeway to now expand, you know, or again, to just completely start fresh, whatever that is. And, you know, the Devil card here is probably more a representation of like fear and limitations, and also like the lowest frequency of those so-called considerations that you would want to make, especially when there's something new on the table, a new opportunity that could be foreign, a new way to expand, a new way to express yourself, or even a revisiting an old way in a new space, in a new time. You know, it still has a nuance to it. Answering a new call to action, starting something fresh, you know, embarking on a new journey, maybe even connecting with new people, making, you know, building new relationships or forging new contracts and agreements, even with yourself. You know, like I literally just kind of like, you know, established a contract with myself in prayer just a minute ago, which is why I know there's something strong on that here, of which I have been limiting myself a great deal on before then. Like, no, it's not time, not this place, not this moment, not this channel, not, you know, everything that I could say to resist. I have said so to myself at some point in time, not all at once, but every time I felt the urge to want to rev back up into that, it's like, oh no, I would coil back, you know? So maybe you are like me, and I'm not trying to impose my experience through this entire message, but I know it's not for nothing, and we're in a very pivotal transitional point in life at this time, where even through this full moon cycle is just as it is important to release old concepts, ideals, and limited behaviors and mindsets and people, places, and things. It's also important to be open to how you get to be rejuvenated and regenerated in a new cycle. Like what gets to happen beyond this full moon cycle that will excite you, that will encourage you to want to invest yourself for the long haul. If you heard my full moon message, I actually spoke about that, about this moment in time being pivotal to kind of project out for the next decade or more, So you kind of want to be keen to make sure you're gathering all the key components of yourself that you'd like to carry on and take with you, or even activate and initiate in whatever this next and new season looks like for you. Void of any limitations, any fears, guilt, shame, resistances, especially the projected ones that aren't really real. There's just the things that we have either been told or continue to tell ourselves in comfort and complacency. All of that, it's like, it's really an intense cycle, because just as much as we're releasing, we're also renewing, it's always that with a full moon, but it's not just a matter of, just kind of resting on our laurels, is that right? Laurels, not our loyals, resting on our laurels and waiting for the transit to do something for us per se. Like we're just as much activated even through our restful state. But the projection though of what you are manifesting and crystallizing through your release, and also through your intentions and affirmations and your outlook, make all the difference. It is the investment in you. Shoot, and it may be the only one needed or necessary at this time. The most important one, as a matter of fact, is the investment that you're making in yourself. All right, so let's move on. Let me just move these over a little bit, because I already see it's a little off. All right, let's see what we got here. Whoa. Ooh, Magician card. Came up in reverse. Judgment on manipulation. What's on that? Cause that flipped kind of funny. So I'm gonna actually shuffle another card for that. Oh, with the star. Yeah, something felt funny about that. I don't know if this is meant to be in reverse, but I'm gonna leave it. And let's see what's on the bottom. The star is a powerful, powerful energy. And the strength, yeah. I mean, it could be judgment on external manipulative forces that have tried to extinguish your light and suppress your power. That's the way of it that makes sense. I mean, that those forces no longer have access with the Judgment card. You certainly don't have, like, it's not anything that you can blame anymore. Not to say you ever absolutely could, but if there ever was an interference, that you could justifiably account for a setback or a detour or resistance or a loss of income, unrealized potential, trauma, fear, anything of the sort. It doesn't, if it had power, it doesn't anymore. So therefore, it's like, to me, it's just given, how much free range, like I said before, like maybe that was the cycle that's being closed. How much free range you absolutely do have now by your own authority and by your own will and strength on account of your healing. That now, like, it really is up to you. It really is up to you. And a large part of releasing in this transit is for the purposes of really receiving that truth and being like activated by it. Because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, there's nothing's holding me back. I'm free and, no distractions, I'm unstoppable. All of that. And it's like, you could say it, you can even think it, but there could be still could be the muscle memory, or could have been, let's say, because we'll speak as forwardly as we can, there still could have been the muscle memory of your experiences that would contradict even your best intentions and your most esteemed proclamations, you know what I mean? And that's the greatest point of release. That is like the activation of initiation, I would say, in this time, to really give yourself permission to be as healed and whole as clearly the divine has pronounced you to be at this point with this judgment card. It's like, yeah, this energy may have existed, and it may have been the thing that had actually impaired your greatest manifestation qualities, which is why we stock up on the considerations in the first place, the things that we contemplate before we allow ourselves to activate, because of our experiences of failure and misfires and falling short and all the ways that we perceived it to be, right? But it all could have just been a matter of timing, which we know in hindsight and in our most elevated minds. But it's still something to be said about the psyche of the human spirit that likes to kind of hold on to those ideals almost as a safety net in itself, the ego, so to speak, to be like a protective force against the reoccurrence of that disfavor. But that's what we don't have to hold on to anymore, regardless of whether it was externally imposed, whether it was personal affliction, like circumstantial, environmental, societal, whatever it is. It's really, to me, with the strength card and the star, is really about owning your creative force from a level that is both carnal and supernatural, or at least spiritual, I would say, like celestial, like this is about the intangibility of your power, and this is about the carnality of it, which in some ways is far harder to manage than the celestial aspect, because we don't even grapple with that as much until we even, the last thing we realize that we are is spiritual, instead of the other way around. And it's a different force to balance and manage than what's sensationalized every single day, So this is telling me that you perhaps, in that culmination of the world card energy and then the devil and perhaps overcoming your demons or your greatest fears or the temptations and the pitfalls of humanity, have evolved in such a way that not only, again, does the divine trust you with your own creative force in such a way that there is no impairment. What was perceived to be so, whether it actually was or not, is also eliminated. So now what you going to do? Now what considerations, what excuses shall you make for taking the chance, making the bet, making the investment on yourself in a way that only you can, And in a way that may even be attractive, like I started to say in the beginning, in a way that you wouldn't have never have seen coming, because when you can bet on you in exemplary ways, or not exemplary ways, but like when you do so in a way that is and when it's evident, like when it's kind of like almost like a public proclamation or expression, it almost attracts others to say, well, to kind of glean from your confidence and your security, and maybe, like I said, see something in what you do or what you have to offer, of which they may be completely unfamiliar with, but are just inspired by your bold expression and want to get in on it. You know what I mean? Of course, perhaps with their own, intention to profit in some way that I hope is fair, given we had the devil card and then the two of cups. So you want to be making sure that you're engaging in fair contracts and commitments, nothing with obscured terms and bindings of any sort, just off of the temptation to be supported in ways that maybe you never have been before. But yada yada yada, preaching to the choir. The point is that your ambition becomes contagious and magnetic at the same time. I think that's all I mean to say. Damn, I can't get far at all with these cards today. And then we got so what's this? So is this like the sorrow of those that, maybe missed their opportunity right up under that haven't been granted access to this balanced establishment, this prosperous establishment. Like it's given the energy with the Knight of Cups of a missed opportunity, where somebody may have had an opportunity to invest in a different season of time, or to collaborate, to commit, to, I don't know, co-create in some way, shape, or form. And as I said before, it's like this person is completely engaged in what they're growing. Not so much in how they can continue to add value to it. I'm not so sure. I don't feel an openness to this advance here with the with the Knight of Cups, which could be the cause for despair and sorrow here at the, like, regret at the Five of Cups is what it feels like. Let's see what's on the bottom. Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Under the Judgment and the Knight of Cups, yeah. Like, it's like somebody's not welcomed. Or just some energies. You know, it could even be what's shut out from this Four of Wands is that spirit of depression and despair, of which perhaps you've even healed from, if we want to, like, elevate it conceptually, you know, that it no longer literally has a home where you are planting seeds and where you have established a foundation even more so at this point. Yeah. So that those old energies of despair that may have existed in another season, the guilt, the shame, like the denser qualities of that devil presence, you know, that every now and again, or, you know, probably incessantly, you know, until as you continue to raise your frequency, like I said, they find less and less of a place to hide and reside as you continue to evolve. They just, you know, they're put out, they're shut out. And it could be these frequencies in the form of energy, and it could also be people, places, and things that find themselves out of alignment with who you are evolving to be, or who you have evolved to become. It could be that too. You know, like, and it also is speaking to me to give yourself permission in the list of things to release, to absolve yourself of the guilt and maybe even remorse or shame of the energies that you must have decided or must decide are not welcome in the spaces that you're cultivating. Maybe they were at a time, because that seems to be what this energy up here is shaping out to be, like things that once upon a time had place, had purpose, maybe value in some even small way or obscure way, but have really, like, I don't know, like kind of like outworn their welcome, so to speak. You know, like when you have a guest that stays too long, and it's like you looking at your watch like, all right, party been over for hours now. Like, I'm ready to tie my hair up and go to bed, you know? But it's like these energies still trying to hold on, latch on for dear life, even though party's been over for that frequency. It may be up to you to finally see them to the door like, oh man, I'm tired, sis. I'm gonna have to see you out. You know, like, or maybe even less discreet and diplomatic than that, to literally like kick them out and not have any remorse or guilt about it, because the spaces that you are creating are your sanctuary. Whether it's your business, your family, your friend circles, your home, your platform, your social media, your product, your services, whatever it is, it's like you kind of have to have a no tolerance for dense frequencies that would only serve to cause imbalance to what at this point with the Seven of Pentacles you worked far too hard to establish for yourself. So that's what I'm sensing, like absolve yourself of the guilt of whatever it takes to draw those firm boundaries and to what do you call it, like fortify them, or that's not the word I'm really looking for. Enforce, yeah. To enforce those boundaries however way you see fit. Because, you know, that's your reasonable service to yourself and the legacy that you're creating at this time. So it's like no shade really. No judgment even, you know, in any critical way. It's just a matter of keeping your creativity as pure and you know, as cleansed as you possibly can to avoid corruption, which is also the Devil card. That's what it is. You're protecting yourself from corruption, of which we are all susceptible to with the wrong company, with the wrong affiliation and the wrong contract and, you know, a misaligned agreement, the wrong place at the wrong time, you know, like whatever it is, it's your responsibility now. It's like the divine is kind of passing the baton to you because you've earned it, because you're trustworthy, you've proven yourself to be more than capable, more than equipped. Now you have to assume that responsibility with honor, you know, and without excuse. Damn, I can't get far at all. Oh man, here's the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Wands. This is the man with the plan that sees the big picture. We got two. Yeah, you know when to walk away. You know when to, you know when enough is enough. You know when something has run its course, when it's given all it's going to give, when you've invested enough and you can't invest no more. Again, in people, places, and things. That's what that's giving here. You know what? I'm just gonna kind of add this to it. Should I? I guess. I mean, I don't know what's going on with this formation today. It's a little on the janky side, but fairly, I just want to keep these cards together. But yeah, like the Eight of Cups is really a powerful card because it definitely speaks to a wisdom in a person to know when the time has come to move on. Because that's one of the hardest things for us to do as human beings, is to accept the necessity for change, or just the sheer invitation for change or to change. You know, it could be literally realizing that it's time to move physically or to do something different. Like I said, to initiate or activate some new effort or new strategy, to release some people, places, and things. No matter how much energy you've invested in it at the Eight of Cups, it's not being afraid. You know, it's literally the antithesis of a scarcity mentality to a definitely the antithesis of this, I would say, the Five of Cups, where this is someone that can't release the past because they can't even see the 2 cups behind them because they're still crying over the 3 cups that spilled. You know, this is somebody that may leave 8 full cups behind them because they realize that even that the fullness of those 8 cups is not satisfying to them holistically and what they project for themselves in the future. You know, what they perceive could be possible or could be the potential to receive holistically. You know, it's like no guarantees though. So this is why I say it's like a strong energy to be able to move in that regard, because you don't really know that you're certainly going to find your 9 of Cups, or at least when you might encounter that 9 of Cups, which would be the wish fulfillment, you know, satisfaction, spiritual contentment, you know, all of that good stuff. But you know that it's not where you are. You know that it's not enough to settle for what you are, what you're doing, what you have, you know, who you're with, all of that. There's something more to be desired, and you're willing to go find out what could be of it. King of Cups. Well, that, like I said, and then the 3 of Wands here. Yeah, having great expectations. I see the Tower kind of peeking out here. It might cause a Tower moment for the things and circumstances that are left in your wake that are used to, you know, that could even be used to you operating on a certain level, or could be used to the accessibility of your energy at a certain frequency, or, you know, proximity or whatever. But the King of Cups is somebody that takes control. You know, yeah, this could be that. Like I said, it may not be well received, I should say. The changes that you implement, the ambitions that you activate or initiate, even the success that you incur on account of your ambition, you know, on account of your faith. It may not be celebrated by everyone or understood or well received, but again, this draws back to you being your best investor, you know, and it could be a matter, as I said, where you being the example of what you could yield investing in yourself at all cost could be the inspiration and the magneticism for others to follow suit or want to connect. You know, that's not necessarily what should be the motivator. You know, this is a season it's a strange season, because it's like the moves that we're feeling compelled to make are quite personal and self-serving, and to a great deal, but it's still with a broad scope. You know, as this 2 of Wands, it's like, to the naked eye, it almost seems like you're only out to serve yourself. You only care about what works for you and what doesn't, and, you know, and that's a strange thing for people that aren't used to experiencing you that way to accept and understand. But what could come out in the wash, you know, Whether it does or not for others is not your responsibility, but what could, though, is you kind of being the pioneer of what it looks like to kind of manage both worlds of caring, of caring so much about creation and your imprint on it that you realize that it starts with you. That you must be satisfied, you must be purposeful, you must be intentional, you must be in the right frequency at the right place and time, you must be void of triggers and trauma and, aggressively intentional about healing and evolving and ascending in ways that do absolutely are self-serving, but that if you don't do that for you first, you could never make the impression and the impact on creation in close proximity to you, meaning family or friends, or greater than, that you are designed, here's that answer to the higher calling, to do so. So it's like you kind of have to keep going, and champion the cause above the fray of distractions and criticism and, even resistance, and even, like I said, the old energies that would want to kind of draw you back, like where you almost ask yourself, like, who do you think you are? Type of energy. It's like, well, I guess we finna see. You, me, and anybody else that's observing, I guess the question will be answered in time, But certainly this is someone that takes full responsibility over their spiritual nature and is not so easily manipulated or influenced to be suppressed or depressed. You're gonna find what gratifies you emotionally, certainly if you're activated in that authority to take responsibility for that pursuit, and you have the will of the Eight of Cups, powering you forward. More than likely you're going to find what you're looking for, one way or another, or it'll find you. Oh, jeez, that's way too much. I'm not taking any of that. I guess emotional balance is key. Because if there's one thing you could be susceptible to, and this is interesting that this card is popping up, the Six of Cups. If there's one thing you could be susceptible to in terms of manipulation, especially by way of projection, is that by way of your emotions, even psychologically, because that's just the most delicate aspect of you. It's the most vulnerable, I should say, more than delicate, but maybe delicate too, but certainly vulnerable. And here it is with the Six of Cups, those nostalgic, familiar attachments that usually, have the most influence, especially when we're on the precipice of change in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, when you're used to being experienced a certain way and then somehow you begin to transform, it's a tug of war between where others would like to kind of draw you back into, and also where you may even feel most comfortable. And sometimes that's just not the dynamic, emotionally or otherwise, to recreate. There could be a reason why even some relationships or some aspects of certain relationships are being encouraged to be released or reformed at this time, because they may not have the most productive value in this next season. And there's really not a lot you can do about that. You know, like you can try to force it into submission. Yeah, like we got the Tower card and then the Eight of Wands. Like there could even be some type of experience, you know, in those ways that sometimes we resist the inevitable. The universe sometimes comes along to kind of help us out. You know, sudden, shocking twists and turns of events that reestablish, you know, like clear a foundation that may be faulty otherwise to establish something new for the purposes of Eight of Wands, acceleration. So like I always like to say, you know, me personally, I'm not saying I've never been on the receiving end of a tower where it's like, all right, we done told your ass it's time to go, or it's time to do something different, or switch it up, or release that person, or stop going there, or stop doing that, and then something happens where you kind of, you know, have no choice. You know, I've had enough of those experiences in my life. Not a whole lot, if I'm honest, because generally speaking, I wasn't the kid that really wanted to be reprimanded. You know, like I kind of more or less like planned for, I probably was too safe of a kid in a lot of ways. I mean, I found my moments, you know, to be a kid and to do what I wanted to do at times. But for the most part, like I generally like to kind of be in the vein of what was expected of me and what I knew, you know, would keep the peace, which of course later down the line, as I've said, those comforts and complacencies end up being, you know, things that you kind of have to heal from or reconfigure as you get older, because you can't always do what's expected of you, of all people and all things, because sometimes that's just conflicting with who you are being called to be or do or have from a higher power. Everything doesn't always align perfectly in that regard, especially considering being a child of humanity and a child of the divine. You know, sometimes those directives do conflict. But, you know, point being is that generally I like to heed the signs and signals and synchronicities. And I'm always praying in graceful transition so that it's not so much of a shock to my senses where, you know, you're like a bird getting kicked out of the nest and having to find, you know, to figure out your way to fly. Sometimes it just is what it is, and that's what we need. But if you can avoid it, is the thing for me personally, where all the signs are there. There's really not much, you know, evidence to be desired as to what the invitation is, what the incitement is, what at least would initiate a shift or a change that ultimately you're probably calling in for yourself anyway, you know? So it's like kind of see where those signals are pointing in regards to people, places, and things. And of course, being in this intensified transit that still has, you know, has value, has weight with this full moon, where we're considering the big picture. you know, the long view, the long-term investment, you know, the 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan. It doesn't mean that everything that you do in this moment has to necessarily be permanent, but it does mean that some of the things that you know you are most encouraged to do at this moment are pivotal. And so there's some things that are non-negotiable, I think, in the spirit, in order to advance you to the place that you're most purposeful, especially when you're in commitment and devotion to being purposeful. It's different if you just want to be, you know, worthless. and then even still in this season, the universe will come push you along in ways that do feel that, you know, that does feel like a tower, like life is kicking your ass because you just won't submit. But for those that know better and do better and, you know, have a greater intention about being with the flow of universal order, it's like, and it could very well be, you know, it could be something life-changing, a small, like here it is, a small investment, a small token of change, a small seed, a small shift that you don't even think would make much of a difference. It could even be by way of changing the dynamic of a partnership, maybe a breakup, maybe, you know, releasing some friends or changing a job, or I don't know. Like, it could be something that you take control of and take responsibility for that creates the shift that you need to forge this acceleration again in ways that you could have never seen, you could have never foreseen for yourself. You know, like, damn, me just breaking up with old boy opened up a whole roadway to, you know, for my business to flourish. Or if you break up with somebody, you'd be surprised how releasing some energy, especially people, will open up your pathways for creativity to just like fire off, all cylinders a go type of thing. You know what I mean? So I could take it that way too, where you're more in, again, authority, control over the changes that you get to make for yourself that are going to be in compliance with the shift that you're in the flow for, you know, or in reception for, I guess, more or less. So in that regard, cheers to you for that as well, because that's also not easy. Any easier than the 8 of Cups, you know, to know when change is inevitable and imminent, and to a great degree. And again, you see the greater picture of what possibilities become even more expansive on account of your just small token of faith and submission to do what you can do in a moment's time without all the considerations and excuses as to why maybe you shouldn't or even couldn't or can't, you know? All right, so I'm gonna leave that there. Let's see what's on the bottom. Knight of Wands. Ooh, okay. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do this here because that looks like, yeah, okay. I don't mind the Knight of Wands ambitiously pursuing the Ace of Cups. Now, if this is going the opposite way, you know, then, you know, that's the energy that would be more adverse to evolution and change. Like, you don't want to be moving away from this divine love energy, the one that flows from within you, or even the pursuit of it from engagements on the outside. Like, I feel like, especially coming off of, I mean, it literally could be the power of choice to decide which direction you are going to almost like feverishly focus on, you know, to like almost be, what's the right word for the Knight of Wands? Like relentlessly pursue, you know, like almost seize every opportunity that would present itself in this frequency. That's ideal. Looking to seize opportunities that are void of this is the pitfall. So it literally is a matter of your choice of direction in your ambitions, which is kind of like generally what the message, you know, was kind of touching on. Certainly in the frequency of releasing, but this is the proactivity, and this is proactivity that is like fearless and to a large degree, you know, it's relentless and also like it's unstoppable. And there's nothing wrong with having this energy toward things that are of high frequency and value, because if the Knight of Cups finds its way to the Ace of Cups and to that overflow, more than likely it will evolve and be upgraded beyond its Knight influence. You know, it might want to stay a while to, you know, to come into an Ace of Cups type of overflow, because it might find, you know, real satisfaction there that's lasting. You know, it's literally like, practically speaking, like somebody immature in their ambitions. Let's say practically like an F-boy, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that this is absolute for all, but just for the purposes of closing this message. Somebody that really is not looking for much, maybe perhaps they haven't experienced much, so they only can really gauge their ambitions from what they know or what they have experience for. But then you come across the Ace of Cups, and it's so all-consuming, you know, like everything about it just makes you want, like, even if he thought he was just going to take a sip and move on, it's something about the Ace of Cups. I mean, it's an endless well. Like, where else would you be able to go to find these same qualities? It literally could be in terms of like someone allowing their passions to guide them, maybe even being driven by lust. There's the Devil card with temptation, and that being the draw, the allure, the arousal. But then once you get there, you realize that there's so much more to gain and to benefit than to just take a dip, literally dip your wand and roll out. It has the type of quality that would like captivate you in such a way that before you know it, you stick around long enough. I mean, this is also about self-love, not just the indulgence of external love. This is someone, you know, engaging in an energy that inspires them to love themselves even more. So then that elevates your perspective of what you're worth and what you're capable for, and even, you know, what your limitations may be in terms of commitment or leveling up to such a benevolent force, you know, whereas you may not have had the evidence to see yourself in that vein before. Now you do, you know, just on account of that engagement. And so, like I said, an enlightened knight could choose to stay a while and might find himself being elevated to a king of wands, or maybe even an emperor in time, you know, by allowing himself to fully be submerged in that frequency of love. And then maybe a less enlightened knight might pass through, take a little sip, maybe take a little swim, but decide that there's better elsewhere. And so they go off to find it, only to realize that there's no greater love than the love of the divine, from the inside out, and those frequencies that mirror that from the outside in. There's no substitute, and there's just no greater satisfaction. So it really, again, it's just a matter, it's a matter of choice, you know. And again, back to the very beginning of the value that you perceive of yourself to invest in. Are you and even to accept. You want to accept this Knight of Cups when you have access to the Ace? You would only when you feel like that's all that you deserve, or that's all you're capable of managing or handling, you know, where you may consider that, well, I had the Knight of Cups before, I know what to do with that, so I'll stay safe with that. Or you gonna, you know, challenge yourself or hold yourself to the standard of which many that I'm speaking to have established is their, you know, their baseline, where you've done too much healing, too much growing, too much learning, too much releasing, eliminating, purging, to accept anything less than the best, even of yourself at this point. You know, so the hard choices that you may or may not have to make to sustain that standard really aren't so hard at all. They actually kind of become a pleasure, an honor, a privilege even. Because if not who, if not you, then who? And if it's ordained by the Most High for it to be so, you don't want it to be done for you or to you. You rather seize and assume that authority, that creativity and power for yourself. Even in the ways that you may not, you know, this is like underdeveloped energy a bit, where you may not even be so sure that you're doing it right. But the thing about the Knight is that they're going to do it full force and unapologetic. You know, I think this is the season to give yourself permission to move with that tenacity like you never have before. Forget the considerations of when you may have done so in the past and it didn't work out for you. This is a new season. And I think you are, I think we all are about to surprise ourselves, you know, and be surprised by the divine at just how beautiful this collaboration is going to be in a very accelerated way. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.